Hey, it's Alex Rackle from BoardGameCo, and it's time, blah, blah, blah. You know what, let's actually just keep going with it. I actually regularly do those resets. That little blah, blah, blah I just did is actually a regular part of my reset process where I pause, start, stop, whatever. You don't get to see it, but it usually happens like 5 or 6 times per video. But for the sake of variety and mixing things up, I'll be including it this time. And this is going to be the week in review, because that's what I do. 10 o'clock Eastern Standard Time every Saturday, I do a week in review. And before we go into the week in review, I just want to do 2 particular shoutouts. There'll be links down below, so please jump on over and subscribe or whatnot. You don't have to subscribe, but it would be cool if you did. Number 1 is going to be Board Games in a Minute. Sarah Shaw, I go on about her content a lot, but she's actually just started experimenting a little bit more with long-form content, including she just recently did her top 10 games of 2020, and that video I'll link down to it below, but head on over to her channel, give her a sub or whatnot. You don't have to, but it would be cool if you did. And then secondly from there is Ant Lab Games. Ant Lab Games is somehow, I don't know how, but they weren't on my radar until around 6 or 7 months ago when I actually did my top favorite YouTube content creators back in June, I want to say. I think it was in June I did it. And they were one of the many channels that I've since discovered as a result of asking people, hey, what's your favorite channel? And Ant Lab Games has been on my radar ever since then. I've been enjoying their content, and they're a lot of fun to watch. It's just a couple playing board games together, but they just started offering a mentoring program for content creators. If you have to be, I double check the thing, but I think it has to be at least 1,000 subs and like under 5,000. Like, meaning they want to have someone who's working, established, but also not someone who's too large. But basically, it's just a free program where they give back to the community. It's a free program where they help, they tutor, or I actually have no idea what they do, but I assume in some way it's helpful, but basically good on them. And I don't know, so I don't know what their deal is, because their content is ad-free and unpaid. Now, I get either one of those. I get ad-free and I get unpaid. I don't know how they do both, because I, so far on my channel, am avoiding taking money from publishers, which I've talked about in the past, and that's currently a choice that I'm making as long as I possibly can. But I do have ads, and I do have Patreon. I do have some money coming in to effectively justify the daily videos I do. Don't get me wrong, they are fun, but if I want to be in the space full time, then those things are an important part of the picture. But they're like completely ad-free. I don't even know if they have a Patreon. I assume you can give them money somehow. Head on over to the site or whatnot. But either way, my point is, they are immensely enjoyable to watch. Their channel will be linked down below, and they're giving back to the community even while taking no ads, no payment, no nothing. So, Ant Lab Games, check that out down below. And now, with that, let's head into the actual week in review. It's a good thing I have timestamps for those who don't want to click around for this stuff. Anyways, week in review. On last Saturday, we had 2 reviews went up. We had Kingdom Run and Kitara, the 2K games, which was completely unintentional. But Kingdom Run is going to be a light little family weight game that I reviewed with my daughter. It's okay. I mean, I think my daughter thinks it's okay too. It's not amazing. It was fun. It's enjoyable. The kids, my 2 boys like it a lot more than my daughter does, but they're not reviewing games with me on the channel yet. So you got more her opinion, but it's fun to play. It's just, we have played a lot better games, in terms of children games and whatnot. That being said, when I asked them if they want to get rid of it or want to keep it, they yelled keep it, so that one will be staying. For myself, I have played games with my kids that are a lot more fun to play, and that one was a little bit of a grind because they went back and forth and tried to just, get in each other's way more than finish the race. Then we had Kitara. Kitara is by Yellow Games, and that is one that is, so my overall review of it, in case you didn't watch it, is basically it's a solid game. But, and that's basically it. It's a solid game, but I enjoyed the area control. I enjoyed the short game. It's a half-hour long game with area control, but I also wanted more from the game. I'm keeping it around right now in the hopes that an expansion will come out, because I think an expansion could really cement that in my collection. I remember even Istanbul, which is one of my favorite games nowadays, is a game that I got rid of it because I felt the base game didn't give me enough options to actually play with and engage with, and then I played just one of the expansions. I have both, but I've only played with the coffee expansion, the Mocha and Bakshish expansion, and that cemented it for me. It was a solid game that just needed a little bit more choices and options, and it cemented it for me as a game that I really enjoy. So sometimes expansions really can mix things up. And now I'm making a mental note, hopefully I'll remember, to add Istanbul to my list. I have a list. I have lots of lists of lots of videos, but one of them is essential expansions. And for me, I think Mocha and Bakshish is an essential expansion for me. And that would be Saturday. Sunday was Did Gamefound Deliver? It was basically a comparison video of how Gamefound, ISIS Vanguard's first campaign, went on Gamefound as a platform, and it's just comparing my own experience. The short version is it was an immense success in the sense that, I mean, it had a $4 million campaign and it completely was a easy experience, but it also didn't feel like an amazingly better experience. Now, it's their first campaign, so honestly, for a first campaign on a new platform, just doing well is already a success. And there were some improvements, some things about Kickstarter I like better, some things about Gamefound I like better. I am curious to see how Gamefound continues to iterate, because they are offering a more streamlined, they're offering an experience that is catered to gamers. So I'm very curious to see how it will develop over time. I'm looking forward to the Kingdom Rush Elemental Uprising campaign, which will be, I think February 9th. I think it's February 9th. And then from there are other campaigns lined up, which we'll see how those all play out. And that would be Sunday. Monday was To Back or Not To Back, a Kickstarter roundup where I cover all the campaigns that don't get a dedicated video, and also those that do get a dedicated video. They're in there as well. I covered the animation collection, which had its own video as well. I covered Epic 7, Epic 7 Arise, which was this anime style, tactical semi-co-op fighting bad guys, fighting woodland creatures. It's really sad when you think about it. I covered Fallen Land, and then Pingyao, the Chinese banks, and then a bunch of others as well. I'm just mentioning a few in case those interested you. Then on Tuesday was a Massive Darkness look back / Pledge Manager guide. I had a few requests to do a guide on the Pledge Manager for Massive Darkness. I personally didn't find it as complicated as, let's say, Storm Sunder or Nemesis, which I've done guides on in the past. Sometimes you walk into a Pledge Manager and there's new stuff, and I find that completely throws you off, because suddenly you have to research what's all this new stuff that wasn't in the Kickstarter campaign. And so for me, this is my own personal bias, by the way, for my own personal bias, I find new stuff actually requires research and a video is more helpful, versus if it's the same stuff, then, that was what the campaign was there for. That being said, there are many people who don't follow campaigns to the degree that I do, or perhaps the degree you do, and to that end, a guide can be helpful, and a lot of people appreciated it. So, despite the fact that I wouldn't have thought to do a Pledge Manager guide in that one, I had enough requests for it that I did it, and a lot of people seem to enjoy it. So, it may become more of a common thing for me to do Pledge Manager guides when there's a lot of money and popularity on the table. You kind of need both, because at the end of the day, a Pledge Manager guide on a campaign that has like 500 backers is not going to do that well, and so it's a little harder to put the time and effort into it. Then on Wednesday, I did a collaboration with BoardGameCoffee, looking back on 2020. There was a video on my channel, there was a video on their channel, basically just talking about different aspects of 2020, our favorite game, our biggest disappointment, new publishers or designers on our radar, what we're looking forward to in 2021. I will include both links down below, both my video and their video, part 1 and part 2. As always, I'm a fan of BoardGameCoffee, and I enjoy doing stuff with them. In fact, after this video, I'm about to go do a podcast, or record a podcast with them. I have no idea if it's going to be public or not, because it's our first episode, so we'll see how it actually plays out. But we'll find out. Maybe I'll update you next week in next week's Week in Review. Then on Thursday, I had Primal: The Awakening Should You Back It. The short version is it is expensive. It is really genuinely expensive, more expensive than a lot of people thought, and they're really pushing that all in. That all in is really the better buy from them, and that basically means that they're saying, hey, you can spend $200 and get most of the stuff, or you can spend $350 and get everything, and it's a better buy, which just puts it out of the price range of a lot of people, and I understand that. At the same time, I think it will hold its value. I really do view this like a Kingdom Death Monster competitor. Very different experiences, to be clear, but I think it will be an incredibly enjoyable game, and I covered this in my Should You Back It video, but the short version is almost everyone I know, I keep saying everyone, but I know that not everyone, but almost everyone I know who has played that game has loved that experience, has genuinely enjoyed it. Jeremy Howard can't stop talking about it. I can't stop talking about it. Not Rolling Solo, the One Stop Co-op Shop has gone on, and everyone I know who has played, almost everyone, I keep saying everyone, it's just using words. Almost everyone I know has really, really, really enjoyed that game. It's going to be something special. I believe when it hits people's shelves, it will be something special, and I believe because of that, despite the high price tag, I believe it'll hold its value, unless, of course, they undercut us all and release a cheaper version to retail, in which case that's a whole different ballpark, but they've said any retail version will be stripped down, and so because of that, I think it'll hold its value. Then on Friday, I had the final video in my top 50 games of all time, but the top 10. So it's going to be my 1 through 10 of my favorite games of all time. Perhaps next year I'll do a top 100, and if I do a top 100, I will not do a video a week. I'll have them closer together so it's not so spread apart. But we'll see, that's next year. As far as this year, there were two, I think, I have to double check, but I think there were only 2 on that list that were new to me as of, in terms of hitting that list. And that would be Bruges and Vindication were both completely new to my list. Vindication because I only played it for the first time at the beginning of 2020, and Bruges because I only played it in 2020 due to the pandemic and playing it online. It's a game that it's a Stefan Feld game I used to have before COVID, a long time ago. Played it once or twice. My wife didn't like it so much, so it kind of went on our trade pile. But I'm saying a long time ago, like back when it was in print was when I first got it. But I got rid of it because my wife didn't like it and I was primarily playing it with her. And so I got it back during COVID because I was playing it online with my friends on yukata.de. And so I really, really, really like that game. It has become my favorite Stefan Feld game, overpacing the Castles of Burgundy in terms of just how much I enjoy it. And then that brings us to Saturday. Today is Saturday, and at 12 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, I will be doing an unboxing of Tainted Grail. I foolishly went one wave and got it all, and then did an unboxing where it's my usual unboxing. It's, just me talking and rambling, a few miniatures held up to the camera, nothing super in detail, not going through all the cards. It's meant to be more of a conversation and just me talking on and on and on. And then at 2 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, we will have a review from Mondrian Blocks. Mondrian Blocks is going to be these little puzzle systems over here that it's more of a puzzle. It's not a game, but I reviewed this with my daughter. And this is going to be like a little system of how to, whoops, I'm doing this the wrong way. I have to take that off. Jeez. I'm gonna just fiddle over here while you wait. Over there, maybe. There we go. Okay. See over here, you got these little, it's just falling all over the place now, but there's little blocks that you can put in place, a little puzzle effectively, kind of like one of those apps you have where you have to slide everything and make it fit. They give you different challenges, you keep going through them. If you have 2 of them, like I do, you can go head to head, and so it's a little puzzle, not really a game, puzzle, but not that different than a solo game that I review with my daughter at 2. And then at 4 Eastern Standard Time, I have a review of Spirit Island, which is a Patreon requested review, and that will hopefully be up at 4, and I say hopefully because I haven't filmed it yet, and we're running out of time for me to film it and get it up and on the channel. So there's a 85% chance you will see a review for this at 4 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, but unlike every single other time that I've done the weekend review, where I have the videos filmed and ready to go, this one I will be filming the review shortly. I have my notes all prepped, I've got all that part detailed. I do actually take notes, by the way. I have a little, sheet attached. You know what? Here we go. This over here, this sheet of paper is always strapped to the camera with my bullet points, so you can see over here just my bullet points of, what I talk about. And I don't really do a full scripted thing, but I always have bullet points. What I liked, what I didn't like, what I can see others not liking, all listed on bullet points, almost all my videos. Not my Kickstarter should you back. When I'm on my screen, I usually don't have notes, but when I'm on my desk over here doing reviews or other content, I usually have bullet points listed out because it helps to keep me somewhat focused, if not completely focused. And that's going to be your weekend review. I am Alex Radcliffe from BoardGameCo. I will attempt to do a quick, clean cutoff and no rambles, and so enjoy the week. I will see you throughout the week, and as always, have a good one.